Hello. Hi, we're just going to give it 1 second for a couple people to trickle in. Hi, thank you so much for joining us for this installment of MTC's Artists in Conversation. My name is Jasmine Johnson. I'm the Artistic Production Associate here at Manhattan Theater Club, and we are just so thrilled to have the brilliant, talented, illustrious Eboni Booth and Jocelyn Bioh here with us this afternoon. So thank you two so much for being with us. I just want to go through just a couple of super quick logistics before I step away and pass the mic over to these two ladies. So we will be doing a brief Q&A at the end. So wherever you're tuning in from, feel free to ask any questions in the chat, and I will be kind of going through those throughout, and I'll pop back on for the last 10 or so minutes to facilitate a Q&A. And the last thing that I want to say is I just want to acknowledge the fact that, we are living in a time where we are temporarily dependent on technology. So in the event that anyone's Wi-Fi freezes or anything like that, we will just take a brief pause, regroup, and hop right back in. So yeah, I think that's it. Thank you again so much for joining us. And I'm going to step away and pass the mic over to Eboni and Jocelyn.
Thank you, Jasmine.
Thanks. Eboni.
Jocelyn, you look so beautiful.
Thank you. So do you.
I haven't seen you in so long.
Not in person.
No. No, I was trying to think of the last time. I think it may have been, and it's shameful, I think it may have been Nana's birthday party last year.
Was it?
I think so.
Oh my God.
Isn't that crazy?
I feel like I always run into you though on a train. So we have that thing in common as well. Where I'm literally,
yes, occasionally on the A train, you'll be like, hey girl.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, I'm back in town for literally a day. Hi girl. Like, hi. And I always enjoy those moments.
Like 7 minutes. I'm like, wait, tell me everything's going on.
You do. You're like, wait, what show are you working on right now? Hold on, tell me everything. I'm like, it's my stop. But I love it, and that means that we do not carve out enough time for each other. So I'm very happy.
Hard, though, I swear, and I don't know how you've been feeling. I have not found it easier during this time to make time for things that I want to do. I still feel like I'm treading water.
Yeah.
And I don't, the feeling I had of thinking like, oh, this will be sort of restorative and like a prolonged vacation. I mean, that was maybe like 4 or 5 days in April. And
yeah. I felt that early in, like I felt that in like March. And I was like, oh my God, I'm like sleeping. Like, this is so great. And then like once everyone started figuring out how to adjust to the schedule, then it was like work. And I was like, oh my God, y'all need to chill out.
Wait now, please wait, please.
It is like crazy. And like, I'm zoomed out. Just zooming and booming every 3 seconds. I'm making I made a wall so I can zoom appropriately. Because my background is hideous. So people will be like, what kind of hit playwright is she living like this? I'm like, I know.
Dangling off the wall. I had to do a Zoom meeting in my bed the other day because the folks outside in the street were playing their music so loud. So I had to talk to, nice people in suits from my bedroom.
Yeah. It's like, okay, sorry. There's like a jackhammer happening right now. Just started. It was like, oh, Johnson's about to zoom. Let me
let's go, guys. Let's go.
Yeah, it's do it now. So no, it's been a wild time. But I am curious, what was happening with you? What was your quarantine shutdown story? Like where were you? What was going on?
I sort of trace, I don't know how it was for you, but I sort of think of March 12th, that Thursday that theaters went dark.
Yeah, that's what I think.
That was like the last time I took the train. That was the last time I was like, I worked a voiceover job. And I remember being on the L train at like 5 p.m. and there was nobody on there. And I was like, oh, okay, I shouldn't be taking the train anymore. I got home. And that was sort of the beginning. And it was really, it was really kind of scary. I mean, that's the thing, those first, it's so funny to think back. That feels like 9 years ago to think back to
It does.
what we didn't know. No one was wearing, no one, people in great numbers weren't wearing masks, but that's when the supermarkets first started sort of being a little nuts. And
oh my God, I'll never forgive anybody for that.
no,
I will, like, whomever's watching, I will never forgive y'all for how y'all acted at the grocery store between March and April. Y'all were tripping.
it was so crazy. And it got to a point, I would just go to the grocery store and you just have to get like the dregs, whatever's left. Zach would be like, what's this? It was like one can of black eyed peas that was like this big, and then like a can of artichoke hearts and some off-brand dish soap. And I was like,
yeah, truly, truly eating like we were in some sort of, sad camp. Because that was kind of like all that was left. So you were in school? Were you not?
School. We were on spring break actually. And everything sort of happened in stages. At first, it was like this for you. At first it was like, okay, we're gonna wait 2 weeks. Oh, we're gonna wait a few months. Oh, okay, we're not coming back for the rest of the year. It sort of happened incrementally. We went on Zoom and finished school. And then it was sort of, look, I can't complain. I mean, I feel like the overwhelming feeling I had, particularly at the beginning, was just one of feeling really thankful.
Yeah.
Jocelyn, you can't, when you think about just that rug that got ripped out from under people in so many different ways.
Yeah.
That wasn't my experience. And I have a safe apartment with someone I love, and we had food, we had money, and I was just like, this world is so crazy.
It's insane. It's insane. It was a really crazy time. We were
were you here in New York? You were here in New York.
I was here in New York. It was so funny. Like that, March was supposed to be like lit. It was gonna be just like, I was about to be like,
because what Nollywood Dreams was about to go into
yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm talking over you. See, I'm excited to see you. Wait. Were you guys like just having your designer run or your?
That particular day, that Thursday, we had our final run because we were going into tech the next day. And we knew that there was like all of this, hubbub that was coming, and, that the Broadway League was meeting, and likely, off Broadway was going to take their cues from Broadway. And so we were just like, okay, cool. So we had, it was like the saddest thing because we started the last run, not knowing what the result would be. And then like right before the last scene, I got a text message from my boyfriend, who was also in a play at the time, saying Broadway shut down. And that's how I knew that we would be shut down. So when we were done with the run, everyone was like kind of clapping, and then you just felt this like all the like, air in the room kind of get sucked out, because everyone knew, even before they had looked at their phones, it was like everyone kind of knew like we're probably not going to get to do this. And yeah, we made the announcement. At that time, they thought we would be able to come back in May. So we thought we were going to just kind of sit down for like 6 weeks and then come back in May. So I walked into the theater, looked at the beautiful sets. I looked at the costumes, the wigs, like we were ready to go. And then it was just like, and close.
Before we leave, here's some notes from that run. Don't forget.
I know, right? Can you imagine? It was like really, really, really sad. And then, yeah, me and my director, Saheem, we went and got drinks, lots of drinks, so many drinks. I don't know, like all of March was really just like drink of the day, kind of thing. And then then I went home. I got some groceries, and then I went home, and that was also the last time I've taken the train since then, which is kind of like crazy. That's the longest I've ever gone in my entire life. I mean, we're New Yorkers too.
So that's crazy.
Right. We're like born and bred New Yorkers for anybody watching. We're like, we were literally born on a train. So to have not been on a train since March feels crazy.
So crazy to me.
So yeah, everything kind of shut down. I was working on like, a couple of little projects here and there. And then mostly I started working on Once on This Island, which I can talk about now. At the time, I couldn't talk about publicly.
Say more and tell me how you've been able to work and write on something new. Or had you started it before things closed down?
Yeah, I kind of did. I mean, I got the job like in January, so I've known for a while. And then, there's contracts and blah blah blah, and it's Disney, child. So we were there every day, like, okay, and then this, and then this, and then this, So it was like, Lord. So once we finally got through that Bible contract, Bible thick contract, I kind of like was able to kind of get to work on writing. And I took my time. I didn't like jump in. I wasn't like, okay, let's just work mode now. There was it was a big part of me that didn't really want to work. I was really sad, that all of this was happening, not even selfishly with my play or with theater. I was really sad this was happening in the world, like, and with especially the way people were, who don't live in New York, were making it seem like we were, like it was Night of the Living Dead over here. Like they really thought we were just all just kind of dropping,
and stumbling around the empty grocery stores.
Truly, truly. I think they thought we were all kind of just like dropping dead in the street. And, but I mean, it was scary. And, unfortunately, we've now kind of can all safely say that the country was not prepared, for that. And a city as densely populated as New York, yeah, it was, kind of scary. But I never felt like, I was scared for, like, I obviously wanted to wear a mask and be safe and whatever. And I'm definitely somebody who takes, health issues. I've been flying with a mask for 4 years. I got the flu. I got this terrible flu, that a strain of the flu that was like killing people a few years ago. Mm-hmm. And it was so incredibly, it took me down in such a hard way. And after that, and I got it on a plane. I know I got it on a plane.
I remember that. I think one of those times I ran into you on the train, you had just come out of that and it was in the middle of a crazy jag of work. You were like, I'm too busy to be this sick.
Yeah, it was like, I don't have time for this. So, I take these things very seriously. So, yeah, it was just really sad. It was just, and, it kind of continues to be, now, even though New York has kind of turned a corner, like, New York is just New York. New York is part of a country, and if the country is still very much, under siege, then like, New York can't come back, in the way that it needs to, so.
I feel like I was foolish in my thinking too. I don't know why I thought I would adjust and the feelings would be easier. And there've been so many different stages of this, there's like what you were saying, like March, and then the protesting started, and that felt like a very distinct phase. And then this phase we're in now, I was just like, oh, I'm kind of used to this. I have it in my bones. And I found August to be one of the hardest months. I'm seeing your face now. And I don't know if you feel this way too. When I see people, I realize I'm reminded of how isolated I've been and how like, lonely.
Yeah.
Like, like, because I see strangers at the store. I see Zach. Occasionally I'll see my family, but I don't see just the people who are making up my life.
No. And it's even more strange when, when you are like, a New Yorker, and it's like kind of, and there's so much community. I think people don't really realize how much community is, like when people say theater community, that is like a real thing. There's no, walking through Times Square or walking through Midtown without bumping into somebody, and who's on their way to do something or this or that, or be in a show or whatever. There's no going to see a show without running into a girlfriend, and then you're like, oh my God, let's get drinks afterwards. Let's do, whatever. There's a lot of, community, and especially when you're working on something, so I was really looking forward to, like, people finally coming to see Nollywood, especially after the trajectory I've had with this play.
Jocelyn, that's why I was like, really?
I said, God, 8 years, 10 workshops, and a pandemic. Okay.
What are you telling me?
Yeah, like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know what I'm supposed to think. Like, whoa, this is like, Job-like patience I need to have, apparently. I don't know what is going on.
What is the message? What
yeah.
is there?
Yeah, no, it's been crazy. I mean, writing, I don't know about you, writing has gotten a little easier. A little easier. But I take my time. I do weeks where I'm like, all right, I'm gonna like really plow through this, and then I'll take 2 weeks and be like, I'm gonna just watch TV and eat snacks. Like that's what I feel like doing. So that has been, nice. And there's no real deadlines anymore. There's no real, nothing's real.
Someone tried to get on me about a deadline, and I was like, for theater, I was like, really?
Like, as far as I'm concerned, the only deadline is election day. So
I was like, that's exactly how I feel. I was like, I'll get it. I promise I'll get it to you. It's just slow. I mean, I'm slow. My brain is slow. It doesn't operate quite the same way. And I don't say this to say, woe is me. I feel like there are people who are really suffering. I'm not suffering. But I think you feel affected. And and I think like you were saying before, that so many people are so uncomfortable really is affecting us, and I think that you can't be with your tribe and all of this. It's just, it's a moment. And
it's been tough.
Yeah.
And also like at a time where we really are having like probably the most important conversations to ever be had. And for them to not be able to happen, with us in community, you know what I mean? Like in kind of more open forums, in person, in a talk back, in a panel discussion, like I don't really know. But I mean, it's also such a double-edged thing because like we wouldn't be having these conversations. Had the pandemic not happened.
I really think that's true. And it has me wondering, I don't know, but there is a kind of self-reflection that one could get from this time. I don't know if people are taking advantage of that. Social media was making me think, oh, not enough people are taking advantage of sort of just
oh God, I know. I literally left Facebook because I was like, oh no, I can't.
I put my Instagram account on hold because it was making me feel bad. Like it was just, it's not a judgment. And I don't even follow crazy Trump people, obviously, but I'm saying like that's the noise and the responses and the sort of fast. It was making me feel bad. I was and it did that before too. By the way, it just did that before. I was like, oh, I don't have the right body. I don't have the right clothes. I don't have the right career. Why don't I look like that? When's my day gonna, all that kind of nonsense.
So, no. But it was also like what the conversations were. Like it started off with like very obviously heightened conversations about our world, our government. I mean, I think there's nobody who can. It makes complete sense to me when you watch that George Floyd video and your whole system has to change. Like that has to actually shift your system. And I think that that's just what it was. I mean, that was like, it was a system shifting moment in your person. If you did not have you had to really check your moral compass at that point. And it just cracked open wounds that have been living inside so many people in all facets in any business. The same conversations that people were having in theater. My best friend who works in corporate jewelry was having the same the same conversations or whatever. Like TV execs are having these conversations. Like it really like cracked open something. And I think right now what's even more exciting is that people are not going to stand for anything that's performative anymore. It's like, and we're also done with that. Like we
in stages, these things move in stages, and there were different levels. And then when you had folks coming out saying, not enough, or that's not ringing true enough for me, or that just feels like you talk the talk. I mean, if Walmart is out there saying it, we have a problem. You know what I mean? Not because, but I just mean like that means, oh, anybody can adopt a certain kind of language and it can be co-opted into a different agenda. So it's also been very invigorating watching other voices kind of come up and say more.
Yeah, like, you know, this is in this case, you know, especially since we're artists, we're like, cool, yes, and thank you for that. And now what? And so actionable items have been, you know, my thing. I had a whole laundry list of things that I was like, cool, Eddie, y'all ready to listen? All right, you know, and it was like, here's my scroll.
That's been true forever. Remember when you put together that list of Black female directors in
2020, yeah, that was like 2017, I think, 2017 or 2018.
And you had theaters being like, hey, how you doing? Can I see that list? Like,
I know. We were working on a workshop. We were in New Jersey.
And I don't remember. Maybe the list was complete by then, or I don't remember.
No, I think I was still doing it. Yeah. And that was so crazy. Yeah, you know, that's me. It's like action. It's like someone asked me, do you know any Black women, you know, directors who are good with comedy? And I only could think of 2. And I'm like, how, Sway?
How is that true? That's not true.
It's absolutely not true. And then, you know, I took to, you know, my then Facebook account and thankfully, you know, was able to like curate this list. I mean, by the time I was done with it, we had close to 200 names.
Yeah, I remember.
But it's about like that. It's about like, let's take, you know, I always got a lot of ideas.
But you need them. And I remember being really inspired, even when you were talking about schoolgirls, when you were working on schoolgirls at MCC, and you were like, how do I get audiences?
Oh yeah.
You know, who might miss this otherwise.
Yeah.
How do I?
Yeah. I mean, you know, but like, that's also the thing. I mean, it's also like the landscape is so interesting now too, like the kind of conversations and stuff like that people are having now. It was even 4 years ago when Schoolgirls was up to, you know, be produced. Theater and the way in which the decisions and stuff like that you make were completely different. It was like so different. And from, you know, directors, conversations about directors, from, you know, where your show should be, you know, whatever, budgets, this and that, like how much I even budgeted for shows. And like, I had a vested interest in the success of Schoolgirls, not just because it was my play and my playwriting debut, but, you know, it's no secret, and I've said it, and people can just look at history and see in Google that, like, you know, MCC had not produced a Black playwright in 19 years. So I'm like, that is a concern for me, because the audience that I know is going to really enjoy Schoolgirls is not an audience that cares about the New York Times art section, probably doesn't know it exists, doesn't care about the reviews, you know, and it's probably not who, you know, that theater had been catering to.
How to reach out to and be inviting in a certain, you know, there are still, I mean, there are certain theaters I just have ideas about. I have ideas about, like, oh, who they program, who sees their show. You know, it's just like, am I even rhythmically in sync? And
right. So it was just like, you know, I had to become my own kind of, you know, if you will, producer. I mean, I wasn't actually putting in money, so I don't want to, like, you know, take away from the work, you know, that other people did. But like, I was busting in with like 4 billion ideas, you know, and I'm glad that I didn't, you know, I'm glad that they, one, heard me out, and two, that I, you know, just came at them with my crazy ideas, because a lot of them worked, you know, and it really added to the success of the show, and the show's kind of continued success. I mean, it's now eclipsed me, you know. I'm now getting tagged in podcasts of people who have read and reviewed my show and hate it. And they're like, It's trash. She's trash. So I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, I've
That's
moved.
not true. Is that true?
Yes, it is. So it's actually true. And I get tagged. They tag me. And I'm like, what? Why would y'all tag me just so I could like,
You don't have to tell me that.
I'm like, what? But whatever. Blessings.
But size, I think of that as being kind of a seismic shift, and certainly at MCC. But I think even in terms of how people, I don't know, just how people start to talk about other voices.
Yes.
What we want to see from other voices.
Well, is that what I mean, because you had the really kind of distinct, opportunity to work on your play or get your play produced while you were still in school. I mean, you're still in school.
No, I'm done.
Oh, are you done?
No, that's it. I was done.
Is it only a 2-year program?
It's just a 2-year program. I did my little virtual graduation in this room.
Oh my God. Congratulations. Well, now I gotta send you up some wine. Welcome, girl. Welcome. So when you graduate, this is what you get.
Oh yeah, that's the next phase. That's when I truly made it.
This is what you get, girl. You get a Zoom background wall, a pandemic, and just cosmic strife in the world. You're welcome. Okay, so when you have Paris produced, what was that like? How were you feeling? Were you like, what the hell is going on?
I was like, what the hell is going on? I don't know how you felt. Did you feel like your acting experience had prepared you for? I feel like you've been writing longer than I have, and you've written more. I don't know, and like I feel also like your airy spirit makes you just. My Cancer rising, I was just like huddled in the back crying all the time and anxious all the time. Canute was like, girl, come on, let's go. It was really hard. And I've worked on shows as an actor.
Yeah, for years.
As you're building and people are coming to see it, it's just, you feel kind of raw and exposed, but it's really different when you're writing. And I think, but Jocelyn, one thing to go back to what we were saying earlier, one thing that made me feel whole was community. The people who came out and sent me texts and emails. Half of them, I don't even know if they liked it or not, but just seeing people in the lobby, people who you kind of know, but not really, but people who just wanted to be supportive. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I was like, oh, okay. This is one reason why you do it.
Yeah.
I was like,
and that's what's great about it, because you're right. It's kind of like regardless of whether people like it or not, because I think we know enough, especially as actors who worked on a myriad of things, we know that taste and whatever is subjective. So like they may or may not like it, but they're still going to come and support. There's a black artist who's got a play, it's happening at this theater, blah blah blah, these are the people in it, we're going to come and support it.
Yeah.
And like that's to me, like knowing that that's all very built in particular with the Black theater community. Like we got each other's back.
That is how I felt. And you forget because the numbers aren't there. You know what I mean? Because
right.
Especially through previews, you're sitting through audiences, and it's like,
and it's off Broadway too. Like I think Broadway is a whole nother monster. And there's obviously like Black artists who work on Broadway consistently and whatever, and that's a whole other monster. But like I guess I will just speak for the off Broadway community, because I feel like I kind of oscillate between both. Like it really is. Yeah, there's a lot of support there. Black theater nights and
Black theater night. I didn't watch it in the house. I was watching from with the monitor. And that was like that's when I was actually crying happy tears. That's because you can it's just, I don't know, it's like me talking to you right now. It's just a shorthand. It's just it's just it's a certain kind of reception.
So what have you been doing since you've been a newly minted Juilliard graduate?
Girl. Not a lot. I mean, the writing is slow. The writing is really slow. And I wound up taking a lot of, I hadn't done any television, pursued anything in television. And then my agents were like, well, who knows what's happening with theater? Do you want to do general meetings on Zoom?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I did those for months, and they were oddly tethering. They would like kind of structure my day. They would make me, I was like, okay, let's take a shower. Let's brush our teeth. Let's do some of that hair. Let's, clean up, make the bed, make the bed in case you have to do the Zoom call in your bedroom. So that like, that wound up being sort of useful. And I've been talking about doing some stuff in TV, and Jocelyn, I got my first TV writing job, actually. Oh, we haven't talked to you.
I know.
I just found out.
You don't have to say it publicly. You can text me later. Yeah. But have you started yet?
We start on Tuesday.
Oh my gosh. Well, congratulations. Welcome.
And I'm sure, like everything else, I'll be texting and asking with questions full of anxiety, like, what does this mean? How'd you do this?
I know. And I'm here. I'm here. No, that's very exciting. Welcome to the mad world of television. Pending the show. Is it a comedy or drama?
It's
or dramedy?
It's like a dramedy. It's a limited series, and it's probably a dramedy. That's how I would classify it.
Okay.
So I don't have too much pressure to be funny. I feel like a comedy, I'd be like, I don't
know. No, you don't. No, you don't. It's such a group effort. I think you'll actually like it. I think you'll find.
Did you like the sort of union of your mind with others to create?
Yes. I think because I'm a new play actress, so I approach work very collaboratively and know that things are going to shift and change, and ideas start one place and end up another. So, and that's really the reality of every writer's room, is like you start off with like, here's what the show is, and then the show becomes, something else, or becomes the thing that you always thought it was, or becomes a whole other thing and then circles back to the thing you thought it was. But it's a super collaborative, effort. And it does feel like, very much like a team. It's all very like team, oriented in my, experience. Some rooms, are more hostile than others, like it's just like anything, like it's
like doing a new play. It's just like, you're like, oh, this is what this is going to be.
Okay. Exactly. You meet someone in the cast and you're like, cool, Mr. or Mrs. Toxic, here we go, like, and now we're gonna make theater together, and you're gonna make me crazy. So yeah, I mean, just like anything, but I think people do strive to have, really great collaborative people with good energies. And, certainly via, now that all writers' rooms have been transitioned into virtual space, and you're going to be meeting your fellow writers like this. It's just crazy. Yeah, it is kind of crazy. But I'm so excited for you.
I'm excited too. I'm sure you'll be hearing all about it. Wait, Jocelyn, can I ask you, do you miss performing? Like, do you feel like, I know you would still do plays, but is there part of you that, like, do you feel like you have the time, not now, I know this moment notwithstanding, but do you want to toggle between both? Do you see yourself making a shift more towards the writing is so demanding time-wise, right?
It is more demanding. And I do miss it. I was really heartbroken when I was supposed to do For Colored Girls.
I remember that's what we were talking about at Nana's
party. Nana's party. Yeah. I was really heartbroken because I was really excited to come back to the stage. And you know what, people also like forget, people think it's been longer than it is. Like, when I did Schoolgirls, when we were rehearsing Schoolgirls, I was in a play.
Were you doing the Susan Laurie Parks, or it wasn't everybody? Were you doing?
Yeah, I was doing In the Blood at Signature Theater.
Okay.
And I was, they, moved the rehearsals for Schoolgirls to Signature Theater so I could be in rehearsals for as long as I could, and then run across the hall to get in costume. There's a picture I have of me backstage in my costume, doing rewrites of Schoolgirls. So like, I had just done a play. It wasn't like, it wasn't like, it's been 10 years, like I had just done a play. It had been 2 years since I had last done a show. And I've certainly had longer stretches of time.
That's what I was gonna say. I was like, I'm going way longer stints of nobody putting me in nothing.
Yeah, I'm like, y'all only care now because this play. So yes, the short answer is yes. I do want to go back and do a play. I think it will be super exciting for me, and I haven't stopped auditioning or working as an actor either.
And you've been doing on-camera stuff. Like, would you want to be in a TV show?
Yes.
Like, if someone was like Jocelyn, I mean, I don't know if you would write something for yourself, or if someone was like, hey, you're going to be the lead in this show. Would you want to do that too?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I've still been auditioning while we've, been in this quarantine. I mean, which is just insane. I'm like, oh God. I'm like, oh God, I've been eating and drinking and, I don't look like I did, a few months ago. So, yes, I still do. I still want to. I would love to write something, for myself. Those opportunities don't feel far away. I was trying to. I was developing Schoolgirls as a TV show, and it just didn't work out for me, unfortunately. With the way we were developing and all of that. But I would have been in that show, not as a schoolgirl.
Wait, but who would you have been? The headmistress?
I would have been Eloise.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if the show ever does happen, I will still be Eloise. Yes.
She would come and stay, so she would like be.
Yeah, in the TV show version, in the TV show pilot, I made Eloise and headmistress sisters. Oh. So Eloise was a headmistress's little sister who's like kind of the mess up of the family, who kind of just likes to marry rich men and all of that stuff. And so she's kind of freshly booted from her last, tryst with some rich guy, and like needs a place to stay. And so I showed up in the pilot, being like, hey sis, I'm back.
What girls doing?
yeah. So yeah, I still want to. What about you? I mean, are you like, I need a break? I mean, you've been at it for 20 years, so.
Yeah, but not really. Like, go open calls for like 12 years and no one cares. Like, that's not quite the same. I want to act, Jocelyn, and I want to get more experience acting on camera. I feel like I'm a better actor than I appear to be on camera. I just find on camera acting very, very challenging. Mm-hmm. And the whole time I'm just like, don't look in the camera. Don't look in the camera. Just say your lines in a convincing way. It's just like a different skill that I the theater muscle feels like much more developed for me. Mm-hmm. But I miss performing. I do. Yeah. I miss when it's a good, when you like the show and the people are good and you're sort of, you get the energy from that. I really miss that quite a bit.
Yeah, no, it's been exciting. And I think because I've also watched so much really exciting TV since we've been, wait, what are you watching? Like, what's the good stuff that you see? Good, bad, guilty pleasure?
I'm like in a moment right now where I don't have anything to watch. I feel good when I'm like, oh, I have something to watch. I can watch it later. I just finished watching, this is old, but I just finished watching this French zombie TV show called The Returned. It's on Amazon Prime, and it's about, spoiler, but dead people die in a small town. They come back to life. Okay. And it's like, it's sad and it's slow and it's about loss and grief. And I found that very kind of moving. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What else did I watch? I watched Normal People. Did you watch that?
I didn't. Okay. I didn't, but I think it was only just because it's actually, I'm going to circle back to it probably now when I've had some time. When I saw that trailer, it was literally in the midst of protests. I think in that day, I had like just donated like $500 to people's like bailout funds. And then I see a trailer for two white British people who fall in love and out of love, and it was like normal people, and I was like, so it was just the day I saw the trailer, but I've heard great things.
It's okay. It's doing fine. You'll get to it when you get to it.
Yes, but I've heard it's good. I've heard it's good, and I love Alice Birch. So.
That's why I watched it, because of Alice, and I was like,
Yeah.
and I knew I try to follow her television stuff, so I was like, let me watch Alice's show.
Yeah.
What are you watching? What did you like?
I early in quarantine, I binged all of the show Dave, that was on FX. It's kind of, he's a comedian. I don't know his like full name, but he's like this white Jewish guy, and he like wants to be a rapper, you know, essentially. He's actually pretty good. And it's kind of like about this kind of like trials and tribulations or whatever. It's a really fun and very brilliantly written show. It's like Atlanta walked so Rami could run and Dave could fly. It's like kind of how I feel about it. You know?
I just finished Rami. I'm late.
Loved Rami.
And it's so good. And my mother is Muslim, so which by the way, I made the mistake of being like, okay, Mom, watch Rami, and she was like, no. She watching that was like too much sex. But I just love it. It made me feel connected in a different way. And Paulina is in the second season.
I know the star of my show, and I didn't know. You know, I was watching I love Rami and was very excited to like, you know, start watching it. So I go ahead and play on season 2, and then here goes Mamiya showing up, and I'm like, what? And I had no idea. And then she had like a whole series, you know, season arc.
She was so good. She
was great. And I did. Yeah, I loved season 2 of Rami. It was, I mean, fantastic. Chef's kiss. Yeah. I loved I May Destroy You.
Girl.
Michaela Cole.
That was the show. I haven't watched a show in real time like that in so long. And my cousins and I were watching it together. So Monday nights, we would sort of like be like, all right, girl, I'll text you in a little bit. But it was so funny. It was so satisfying stretching it out over those 10 or 12, I think 12 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually couldn't wait. By the time I got to episode 6, I was like, I'm not going to wait. So I downloaded a VPN, which like changes your location on your computer, so I could watch it on BBC because it had already aired in London. So I was done watching it well before it aired in America because I couldn't wait.
And then wait, did you just watch like the last 6 episodes all together, where they had all come out at that point?
By the time I downloaded the VPN, all but the last 2 episodes had come out.
That show.
So
that feels like a game changer to me.
It completely, 1000%. I loved it so much. I'm a huge fan of her. She's like, you know, a Ghanaian writer actress. It's like, hello, yeah, like she walked so I could run, you know. So it's like, I loved that show. But I have to say, the one show that I have been really consuming too much of,
I'm scared. What?
Love Island.
I thought you were going to say Lovecraft Country, but then you did Love Island and said, girl, that's okay. That's
Love Island.
That's exactly.
Oh my God. I watched every season except the first of the UK one. I watched most of season 1 of the USA, and I'm currently watching the current season that's airing in USA right now.
Wait, what does that mean? Is it on Netflix?
It's on Hulu. The UK versions.
What is the setup? What is the premise?
The premise of Love Island is essentially a cycle of hot people stay in a villa, you know, off the coast of Spain or something like that, and they're all British, and they're all just looking for love, you know, and you know, and they all have to like couple up with these people, and then, you know, they go through a series of challenges and all of these things, and then at the end, whomever wins Love Island gets to obviously fall in love and then win £50,000, That's the British one.
That's it. That's it. So you just fall in love.
You do. But it's also like incredibly attractive people, like people that literally have just been ripped from Instagram and are like in there to find love. So it's like some have brains, some don't, you know, some are
Stop watching this trash. Is it trash?
It's honestly not that trashy. It's actually a really, I would say as a playwright, it's actually way more compelling. Like my boyfriend was comparing it to like, I don't even know, like some real like Chekhov, like he was really like setting it up. Like he's like, this is like Chekhovian, this is Shakespearean.
All right, I'm gonna watch it.
And I was like, okay.
You know why? I got back into the Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Oh yeah.
Like a few months ago, and it's not Jacobian, but it's something. It's something.
Listen, you have to have balance. I think if you're always like up here with your programming, it's skewed. You gotta like come down and like,
yeah, everything can't be like eat your spinach stuff. But I do have to say something like I May Destroy You feels like it lights up both parts of my brain, even though the content is something, considerable, but I feel,
for sure.
I don't feel like I'm having to take medicine. It just feels
no, for sure, which was why it was so great, which is why I was like, I need it now, it was really exciting. So no, it's been nice. It's been nice to like have time to watch some TV,
Did you get to read? I've been reading and
reading so much.
I mean, and I missed my subway commute because I would read on the train. You get like, sometimes you get 2 hours of reading in a day.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm like, oh, I can read that thing that I said I was going to read and really wasn't ever going to read. Now I can actually read it.
And I've been doing a lot of Audible as well.
Oh my God, Jasmine, I know you're here. Okay, I'm so sorry, Jocelyn. And I don't mean to big up Amazon, but I was like, wow, Audible's onto something. I was like, yeah, great.
Yeah. It's actually amazing. Like listening to a story or whatever, or play while you're, making eggs in the morning. It's like, it's actually kind of life-changing. I encourage it.
Did you listen to Madri's play, Evil Eye Madri?
It's on my list. It's on my list.
Okay, that's it. Jasmine, you're gonna come in. It is, you guys listen to Madri's play, Evil Eye, on Audible. I was baking while I was listening and I had to stop and sit down. I found it very, very moving.
Yeah. It's on my list. I'm looking forward.
I can't wait to, okay. Hi, Jasmine.
Hey, y'all. I felt bad like jumping in, but we had some people who were super eager to ask you some stuff. So I just want to use these last couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Some people submitted things beforehand. They were super eager, so I'm going to get to some of those too. So Leanne wants to know, how does your work as a writer inform your work as an actress and vice versa?
Yeah, I'll say for me that it probably, I write character-driven stories. And so I think that's probably the clearest, example there, because like as a person who, as an actor who creates character, from kind of beginning to end, I've only ever really worked on new plays. So I understand how to kind of craft character in that way. And then I feel like that kind of thing applies when I'm writing, my work. I'm like, how do I send each character in this play on a like really satisfying journey?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's my answer.
I agree with that too. I feel like also the sort of structural questions that come up as a writer, I understand differently as an actor. I really understand myself as a part of a whole a little differently, because sometimes I have a sense of the bigger picture. I think that's the thing about new play development too. When you're doing those workshops and stuff, you just can kind of look under the hood and see how plays get made and how, mm-hmm. when they feel the best supported. Mm-hmm. And so I think some of the things that I thought were like, oh man, my acting is so great right now, I can see like, oh, that actually wasn't that appropriate for the play you were in. And that's why they were looking at you like that when you were like, that was great, right? And they were like, like you can just sort of see it from the outside a little more in a useful way.
Yeah.
And that kind of a little bit feeds into a question that came in from Sid, who's also like you, like both of you, an actress and someone who has interest in writing as well. And she's curious about what tips, if any, do you have for a young actress, who wants to start writing a play for the first time, but doesn't really know where to start?
I would say to just, I don't know what, I guess not knowing where to start just means just start writing, like the plays have very open structure. Like that's what's the great thing about plays is like they're very open structure. They're very like, whatever you want it to be, it is, so if you have an idea, if it could be a monologue, it could be just a conversation between, you could just have one character and, I don't know, make up who that another person that character is talking to, and then start a dialogue or something. But I think you just kind of have to start and try. It's not cement. I feel like people need to know that too. Your first draft is just that first, it's not going to be your last one. So you can
Jocelyn, talk about that. Talk about how many drafts you can write of something.
Oh my God, you can write probably hundreds, but for example, Schoolgirls is probably close to 30 drafts of that play. And I still have 2 notes. So, it's really just about, starting something. Once you have that thing, you can fix it along the way. But if you never even attempt to write the draft, there's really nowhere for you to go.
I feel that way too. You have to do it. You have to do it and deal with it being bad or feeling bad. Maybe it's great, but it feels bad, and it's a different part of yourself that you're working with, that, that it feels new. But I think the best thing I did was write the first really bad play, and it was really bad. It was like really bad, it was like bad. And then I wrote another play that was like, not as bad, but still like, don't send that to anybody. And you just keep writing plays, and you're like, oh, I can show this to people.
It sounds like y'all are just emphasizing, the process, the fact of that it's continuous and evolving, and you just gotta.
Yeah, because I don't know that people always, understand that. I think, because we're such a results oriented, universe, that people don't actually ever think about what the process is, from beginning to end. And sometimes there's a lot of steps in between. So yeah.
It's a lot of steps, and it takes a lot of time. Justin, I feel like that's one of the ways we sort of connected doing that workshop, sitting at the dinghy, when we were just like, oh, it took a lot of time for me to get to a point where I could get work a little consistently. And I think if I had, and I have my own feelings about that, but it's just very hard, and it's hard externally and it's hard internally. So I think you figure out what brings you peace and what success means for you. And as the more work I do, the less, as Jocelyn was saying, the less result oriented it is, the more it is about the work and the sort of growth that comes from trying something new. Yeah.
I think the last question that came in from Anna, she's curious about how do you think that your writing will or will not change, coming out of this pandemic? I know you talked so much about, you've been consuming books and other forms of media, but when we're able to be back on stage, together and telling stories again, is there anything in your approach to writing or telling stories that you'll be able to bring with you from your pandemic experiences?
I don't know. I feel like, I don't know how you all feel. I feel like right now I'm really treading water, and like I'm so in it, in this sort of like survival mode of trying to figure out how to navigate this difficult time, that it's hard for me to know. I don't know. I know it'll be different because everything is sort of forever changed, but I don't know that I can say how just yet.
I think I want to, if anything, I know I'm going to continue to write the same kind of stories that I've always wanted to write. Because at this point, I write, mostly comedic work starring people of color, namely Black people. And at this point, I just feel like Black joy is also an act of revolution. So I will probably double down in it, like I probably will throw out whatever silly drama I had, because I want to I think I want people to be able to come to a place and celebrate and have joy and laughter. You know, still learn something, of course. It's not just, you know, fluffy stuff, but
it's not, but it's so telling that that is an anomaly, that until recently, that was real anomalous on stages. And I feel like if Black people weren't writing about us being brutalized, it was really hard to find an audience, or it was really hard to find people willing to program it. I felt like the responses I got were like, we don't quite know what to do with it. You know, not always that explicitly. So I do think that we need those stories more than ever.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't think it's going to change much, but you know, we'll see. Time will tell.
Yep, time will tell. I think that is kind of the perfect note to end on. We got some great movie recommendations, some great podcast recommendations, all of it. So thank you so much, Jocelyn and Eboni, for being here, for letting us be a fly on the wall in your conversations. We are so grateful. Thank you all who tuned in. And yeah, if you are not on our email list or anything, that is where you can find more information about more of these artists in conversation that we'll be doing throughout the fall. So you can get on those email lists if you hop over to our website at manhattantheaterclub.com. But I'm gonna leave you all on that note. Thank you so much, Eboni and Jocelyn. It was a true pleasure.
It was so
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Jocelyn, I'll text you later.
Okay. Bye, girl.
Bye. Thank you so much. Thank you.